Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate and the very special episode, as we have a number of topics that we'll be focusing on tonight throughout the episode. One of them is the inauguration of a number of developmental projects regarding the infrastructure and transportation in Egypt by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi through the presidential activities which took place on Sunday morning. And tonight I'm honored to be having with me in the studio Dr. Cherif Amir, the Professor of International Relations at the University of Paris. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Dr. Cherif, as we did see today through the presidential activities of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, a number of inaugurations for the fourth phase of the third Cairo Metro line. How did he see those achievements?
Well, we are continuing the same path that we have begun with President Sisi, as that we have to focus on the development of Egypt's interior infrastructure. We couldn't achieve anything without the work, the hard work that was followed by the President himself, following step by step everything that is taking place on the ground. This new line is magnificent because it's one of the lines that goes, the only one that goes under the Nile.
Yes.
And it's a miracle because it was done in such a way, perfect achievement at a good, excellent timing. We all know that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, from first day in office, he used to ask those who are in charge, give me the timetable. We have never seen this accuracy with any president before. And it wasn't just for the media show, it was because he meant it. And we have seen that those who didn't fulfill the job till the end couldn't continue. And this was the right way of work. There is no personal relations or something. Egypt is #1 priority for the president, and we are witnessing this today. And let me say also that the fact that a former president like Justice Adli Mansour,
yes,
his name is being given and in
for
his
the
life,
metro station
for the
itself,
metro station.
yes.
This is a great,
very important one as well.
Of course, and this is a great reward that President Sisi is giving to this man who became an interim president.
How did he see this gesture to be naming an important metro station after former President Adli Mansour through the era of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi?
It means it has a patriotic meaning that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi is giving a decoration for someone who stood on Egypt's rights and Egypt's sovereignty at the time where everyone was forsaking Egypt, like El-Baradei, for example.
Yes.
But this man said, no, I will stand with my country.
Very critical timing as well.
Exactly. And his life was threatened, and we all know the circumstances at that time. So I think that President Sisi is rewarding him. And this is an encouragement to everyone in the country. If you work hard for your country, if you believe in Egypt, you will get your reward. No one is forgotten. The fact that was an interim president was not a barrier at all. President Sisi honored him. And we all honored Adli Mansour because he's the man who took all this charge at that time. So it's very courageous, it's very prestigious, and it's a sign to all the Middle East that we are a democratic country. There is a former president who contributed, and in his life he is being honored by the current president. So this is democracy.
Yes, Dr. Cherif, we had a number of meetings between the both of us ever since 2012 or 2011 on NILE TV International. How did he see the pace of achievements and the amount of achievements under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi comparing to the previous times?
It is the most difficult but the most prosperous, and I'm saying that because we never thought that with all these obstacles and the determination of President Sisi, I'm saying what I have seen is the belief inside the heart of this man. He believes in Egypt. He believes that this nation deserves the best. And as he said, what took place, I will quote the president, he said, what took place in these years never happened in 10 or 20 years before, and
yes.
it's real. And every Egyptian is saying that now. What is done in these era under the presidency of Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, if it was done before, we could have been now like countries like Singapore or maybe Dubai or Hong Kong. We would have been a lightning nation in this region. But let me tell you that I think that President al-Sisi gave the example that we can work hand in hand. There is no one man acting. He used
yes.
to tell the people, and I remember when he went to one of the banks when he started raising the money for the Suez Canal, and someone told him, Mr. President, God be with you. And the president turned to him and said, God be with us, because I will work with you, with the people. And I said, this man believes in Egypt. He doesn't believe in his own image. No, he believes in the image of Egypt as a whole.
Yes.
And this is very prestigious to all of us, that we have someone leading the country who knows that there is obstacles. Answering to your questions, we have witnessed all the past difficulties, economic difficulties, war in Sinai, war in Libya, the Renaissance Dam, all these obstacles, and the media, outside media like Al Jazeera and others are trying to destabilize Egypt's image. It was a total war. And now we're facing the same thing, the harassment with the dictatorship of Erdogan in Turkey and the Mediterranean. So the obstacles are the real fire who tested us and gave the credit that this nation and this president are going on the right path. It is the hard way, but it is the right way.
It is the hard way, but how do you see the pace of achievements in terms of not just transportation? Today we did see the inauguration of a number of projects for the third Cairo metro line, the fourth phase of it, but it leads to the new administrative capital to be transporting the employees back and forth between Cairo and the new administrative capital and the other governorates as well. How do you see the pace of work in terms of infrastructure as well, not just transportation, in terms of building a new capital, building over 20 new cities all over Egypt?
We all know that at the beginning, when President Sisi started the work in the new capital city,
yes.
Some people started asking, well, how we will deal with the transportation question. And the answer came today, and I think more answers will come. And we all know that the administrative capital is something that it will be, and I'm sure, and it started to be, the jewel in the crown of Egypt's infrastructure.
Yes.
About other cities, we have seen the cities of Alamein, where our brothers in the Emirates came and saw it, and the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed said, this is the place what we should work and invest, and they invested in Egypt at that time. And we have seen also the infrastructure in many cities who were really ignored at real all these years.
Yes.
Because President Sisi, he follows a rule that you have to go step by step in order to achieve the head of the pyramid. Meaning by that, if you want investment, if you want the money and want investment and want foreign currency in Egypt, you have to start by yourself, but not only building factories, the roads.
Yes.
You have to, like the cities, there is factories in Abu
You need to reach the new places.
Exactly. Look, for example, there is Abu Rawash. There are many factories there.
Yes.
These were roads where no one wanted. There is no electricity there. There was no real roads there. President Sisi has done extremely hard work there. He said, these factories, in order to work and we can attract investment and invest for investor, he has to find electricity, he has to find water, he has to find roads, he has to find facilities there everywhere, internet, all these infrastructures. We have to put it on the ground first and then ask the investors to come. And I think we have achieved now in this phase more than 90%, because I think factories are being prepared thanks to the work, the hard work of the engineers of our armed forces and some contributors from the private sector. And I think that the follow-up made by President Sisi himself gave the boosting, because, you know, when the workers, especially in the administrative capital, they see the president himself talking to them, that means that there is someone who cares, not only giving orders or waiting for the achievement. No, he's working with his own people,
yes,
asking about their needs, about the problems they're facing. When, for example, we worked in the Suez Canal, we had the problem of finding the great, let's say, machines that could work in it, and he spoke with the Germans, and we acquired the machines. As he spoke with the Germans and
digging machines,
yes, and for the electricity also, and we found a way. And we started working. If it was not the president who interfered, no one could have done it. But he asked specific questions. Where are the points of weakness? And then let's fill it and just go on.
Yes, my final question is about, as you said, Doctor, to be reaching the top of the pyramid, depending on yourself and depending
Yes.
on the Egyptian workers. How do you see the amount of achievement that we have inaugurated those projects today with Egyptian hands, with Egyptian companies building those metro lines or the new phase?
The achievement is prestigious, especially in these hard times after the COVID-19 and the economy. Many people said we will find a hard time to go on with the projects. And unfortunately, there was some pessimist opinions. But today, the president taking the precautions for the COVID-19, but in the same time working and going on the ground.
Yes.
Many presidents in other countries, they do not move much like that. No, he's saying, well, we're taking the precautions, but in the same time, we will not stand still. We have to work. We have to achieve something. So I think the achievement is something that encouraging all the Egyptians to go out and work and start building the country. And once again, when the president himself is following, this gives a huge energy to the people working on the ground.
Yes, to the other part of the daily debate for tonight, we have another report, and it comes from the visit of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli to Sudan, which took place yesterday. So let's see more details about the visit, and we'll be right back again with you once again on the daily debate.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli paid a fruitful visit on Saturday to Sudan, accompanied by a ministerial delegation. The Sudanese Prime Minister Abdullah Hamdouk, along with other Sudanese officials, received Madbouli upon his arrival in Khartoum International Airport. The bilateral talks that followed tackled multiple strategic files such as transportation, trade, education, and the Ethiopian dam. The talks ended with several agreements to boost relations between Egypt and Sudan. In his talks with Hamdouk, Madbouli reiterated Egypt's firm commitment to the support of the transitional period in Sudan and the Sudanese people's aspiration to progress and prosperity. For his part, Hamdouk asserted Sudan's readiness to promote relations and take it into wide horizons given the common connections and ties that bring together the two brotherly people. During the bilateral talks, the two sides reiterated their commitment to strengthen the trade exchange between each other. The two sides discussed bolstering cooperation in investment field and the available opportunities for the Egyptian companies to invest in some fields of strategic importance for Sudan. The two sides have also discussed means of bolstering cooperation in transportation field, as an agreement was set to restructure the Nile Valley Corporation for naval navigation, boost its competitive ability and improve its fleet. The Sudanese part expressed its appreciation for the Egyptian government in regards to medical aid amid the current coronavirus pandemic. The two ministers asserted their unified stance on the Ethiopian dam, which calls for a binding agreement in operating and filling of the dam to protect the water rights of the three countries, according to a statement. The Egyptian delegation reiterated its commitment to back the Hamdouk government's efforts to have Sudan off the list of the countries sponsoring terrorism.
Welcome back. So the visit of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli to Sudan, the timing of it and the importance of it and the messages sent out by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi through the visit to the Sudanese officials and the aid sent to Sudan as well as Lebanon in the past 2 days. But more specifically, Dr. Cherif, that we are at the heart of Africa nowadays under the tenure of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, that we are reaching out once again to the African brothers in Sudan and the messages sent between both sides through the visit. How did you see that?
Well, let's not forget also there was the visit of the Minister General Abbas Kamel, the head of the intelligence services to South Sudan. So it means that Egypt is coordinating with Sudan as a whole country. We're not taking any parts. Egypt's role didn't stop at the head of the African Union. No, we are still the big brother in the Arab world for Sudan and in Africa for all the African countries.
Yes.
So this is the first step. The second step is that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi wants to deliver the message to our brothers in Sudan that we all know what took place for the floods happening there. And we all know that Sudan, some factions there were trying to act, let's not say separately, but saying that they have some interest with Ethiopia concerning the Renaissance Dam, and that Sudan will have different interests than Egypt. Well, now on the ground, we're telling them, well, you are witnessing that you are having damage now because of this project. So we are helping them. We are sending the aid. And as you said, as we're doing the same thing in Lebanon, and Mr. Samah Shukri was present there in Beirut. So we're telling all these countries, we are extending the hand of peace, a hand of brotherhood. We are not trying to act unilaterally or for our own interests. Of course, every country is protecting its own interests, but in these circumstances, and as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said before, if, for example, a country like Ethiopia want to develop their economy, we will help. We would not act against the will of the people.
Yes.
But we have to work in accordance to international law and to international relations in respect of the sovereignty of each country. We are acting with our brothers in Sudan since what took place and the ousting of al-Bashir. We are listening to all the leaders there. They come to Cairo. When I say all the leaders, I mean all of them, because there are several factions.
Yes.
We are not taking part against the other. We are having excellent relations also with Juba, with President Salva Kiir in South Sudan. So we are telling everyone we could be the cornerstone of peace and prosperity. And whenever you have problems, we will be there for you. Our prestigious Air Force was present in two countries, two different countries in the same time with the aids they're having, delivering to the people of Lebanon and the people of Sudan and rebuilding the cities there. So I think that we're a strong country. This is the message we're giving. We can work in the same time, at the same action, and we are a country of peace. We're not acting in a way to harm other countries. Let's give an example. For example, when Minister Abbas Kamel went to Juba, he had the committee formed also with the Minister of Health, Dr. Hala Zaid,
yes,
to inaugurate a medical center, the Egyptian Medical Center. And in the meantime, a country like Turkey building military bases in Somalia. Who's contributing in the construction and peace and prosperity, and who's working for bloodshed and
contradicting
war?
ways.
Exactly. Two countries giving two different examples. One is building, one is acting for prosperity, sovereignty, and human, we're caring for these people, and the other is working for war, bloodshed, civil wars. I think Sudan needs, Sudan or Ethiopia or any African country needs hospitals, needs, as we are doing,
yes,
needs dams as we have built in Tanzania and in Congo, and needs also help for sinistered villages like we're doing in Sudan. So, but not military bases and missiles and attacking the sovereignty of these countries. So the message is clear. We're a strong country. We can work with diplomacy, with our Prime Minister present there. Look, for example, the Prime Minister in Sudan, the head of the military intelligence, General Abbas Kamel, in South Sudan, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sameh Shoukry, in Beirut. And we are
in the space of 2 or 3 days.
In space of 72 hours,
yes,
and airplanes heading with big airplanes of cargo, heading with Egyptian person, medical aid,
and
doctors,
yes,
and to South Sudan and to Sudan. So I think that the example is very clear. Who is the strong country acting for peace and sovereignty? And this is the message given by President Sisi from first day in office.
Yes, a strong country acting for peace in the Middle East, as we did see in the past few days. A phone call between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan to be congratulating him on the historic deal, the historic accord between the United Arab Emirates and Israel to be normalizing ties through the brokerage of the American President Donald Trump. We have more details about that in the upcoming report. So let's see it, and we'll be focusing once again on it on the daily debate on such a very important topic. So let's see it.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi hailed a new agreement between the United Arab Emirates and Israel that would bring peace to the Middle East. On his official Twitter account, President al-Sisi said that he had followed with great interest and appreciation the tripartite joint statement between the United States, the Fraternal United Arab Emirates, and Israel regarding the agreement to suspend the annexation of Palestinian territories and to take steps that would bring peace to the Middle East. He added that he also appreciated the efforts to achieve prosperity and stability in the region by those in charge of this agreement. American President Donald Trump announced the deal on Thursday, having helped to broker it. Under the accord, Israel has agreed to suspend the planned annexation of areas of the occupied West Bank. Egypt supports a two-state solution with a Palestinian state whose capital is East Jerusalem, and which is based on the 1967 borders. Cairo has repeatedly expressed its rejection of Israel's plan to annex the West Bank and called for the revival of the peace process. The United Arab Emirates is the first Gulf state and the third Arab country after Egypt and Jordan to officially normalize ties with Israel.
a historic deal, and the reaction of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. Congratulations, sending congratulations to the Emirati or the Abu Dhabi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan on this historic deal between the United Arab Emirates and Israel under the brokerage or the announcement of the American President Donald Trump. Dr. Cherif Amir, how did you see such an announcement by the American President?
Well, it's relieving, because we all know that war and bloodshed and terrorism and all that is being exploited, and only the people are paying the price. And I think that Egypt, since 1977 and 1979, when we signed the Camp David Accords, we were giving the strong message, the courageous message to all the world and to Israel, that the one who asks peace and seeks for peace is always the strong. And I think that what took place now, it's a message also to those trying to portray that the camp working for stability is betraying the Palestinian cause. No, it's the camp who is working with a strong spirit. And Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed proved that he is a strong leader who gave peace a new chance.
Yes.
Because we all know that this recognition of Israel and normalizing the ties with Israel and this peace treaty is a way to negotiate with the Israelis about the sovereignty plan announced by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in his elections. So I think it changed the game. I think that the Emiratis consulted Egypt a lot. They consulted President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi about the issue, because we have the experience of negotiations, and we gave our vision about peace and how to achieve peace with Israel and get the concessions we need. So I think that President Trump, when he announced this as a brokered accord, I think this was the achievement of the local leaders in the region, also of President Sisi and his brother or counterpart, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed. I think that what we are witnessing, of course, is a test for all those who are trying to ignite war. Let's see the positions of some countries, a country like Turkey, who has excellent relations with Tel Aviv, with Israel, and then they accuse the Emirates of betraying the Palestinian cause and asking to retreat waving this card that they will boycott, withdraw the ambassador from Abu Dhabi. Well, I think they have. Why they didn't withdraw their ambassador in Tel Aviv or their representative in Tel Aviv? Why they are acting in double standards in this case? I think this is a kind of blackmail that he's doing. He's trying, through the turning of Hagia Sophia to a mosque, trying to take the part of the Hamas and the cause of these groups, as he's defending the Arab and Muslim world. Well, it won't work, because people are fed up with these kind of political games. And let me repeat it again, and I said it before, something is wrong now, of course, in the Palestinian camp. They have to work with Egypt, to have to work with the Emirates to achieve something. I think that it is not the right way to ignite a conflict with the Emirates and say, well, we will boycott the Emiratis. We all know that Egypt and the Emirates and Saudi Arabia are very important, especially Egypt and the Emirates are very important in this region and in these negotiations. But I believe that in the future, leadership in Ramallah, maybe Mr. Mohammed Dahlan also is known to be someone who is open to the Emiratis and to Egypt's position. So I think that there is a hope in that. But there is always the call of Cairo to the Palestinians: unite your front and come and talk, because What Israel wants is that war goes on. You lose territory, you lose people, you lose reputation as being portrayed as terrorists. And then what is the end of this game? That the Qataris will pour some money to you, or Erdogan will go and speak to the nation and say, we are helping you? This won't help the Palestinians. No one will help the Palestinians but themselves and their brothers in Cairo and Abu Dhabi. So this step has stopped the sovereignty plan, of course. And if there will be any maneuvers, of course there will be maneuvers. This is how politics goes on. Of course the Israelis will try to maneuver afterwards. But we showed the world in the Camp David Accords how we maneuvered till we got every inch of our land. So we're telling the Palestinians, listen to Egypt, listen to the Emiratis, you will gain a lot. Sit on the bargaining table, because Iran, Qatar, Turkey won't be helpful to you.
Speaking about the negotiations, how do you see the current stance following this deal regarding the negotiations between the Palestinians and the Israelis following this accord?
It is very hard, because let's speak frankly, because we have done our part. For example, when Hamas launches missiles on Israel and Israel starts retaliating in Gaza, we start negotiating with both parties. And General Abbas Kamel, the envoy of President Sisi, goes and speaks with the Israelis and the Palestinians or the Hamas and tell them to calm down the situation. We are doing the same thing with the Palestinian Authority. But till when? We have to stop this. We have to start negotiating. So I think that Egypt, the Emirates, did a huge part now. Egypt's stopping the bloodshed. The Emirates, the Emiratis are now stopping the acquiring or the sovereignty plan of the Israelis in the West Bank. So we have stopped the bloodshed and the loss of the territory. And then the Palestinians, they have to work. What we have seen from the Palestinian Authority and Hamas is not a good sign. We have to find a new way. They have to listen, because time is running. They lose people and they lose land.
Yes, and how do you see the future of ties between the Gulf states, as Bahrain, for example, welcomed this accord and this deal? How do you see the future bilateral ties between the Gulf and Israel?
I think it will be, it will go in a positive way.
Yes.
Because I think that the Iranians wanted to play the game of isolating the Gulf during this time. Well, the Gulf states are the new generation governing there, saying to the world, we are open for peace. We are not calling for war. If Israel is ready to negotiate about its plans and say, if we will have peace and investment in the Gulf states, why not? It will bring prosperity to the Gulf states and also will guarantee the lands of the Palestinians. Why not do this, not to do this exchange? So I think that the Iranians know that they have no way to play. We all know that the Iranians, in a way or another, they have other contacts with Israelis, as they did during the war, the Gulf War with Iraq. So let's not take and Qatar and have excellent relations with Israel. Turkey, they have all the coordinations going on with Israel. So all this camp, they're trying to portray it as they are the nationalistic religious camp. They are falling and they are not the right camp. Okay, we will have peace and we will exchange economy, and Israel could live in peace if it guarantees that the land of the Palestinians will be acquired.
Do you think that the Palestinian Authority has room to be building on such a deal?
It's very hard to say it with the current situation. Today, for example, President Mahmoud Abbas, when he started saying that we will boycott and withdraw our envoy to Abu Dhabi, he got a call from the foreign minister Jawad Zarif of Iran. what's the meaning of that? I think this is not the right path. Iran won't be helpful. Erdogan won't be helpful. Hamas, Haniya won't be helpful. At a certain time, Haniya was praising Erdogan for contacting Benjamin Netanyahu, for protecting, as he's saying, alleging the Palestinian interests, and now he is attacking the Emirates because they have spoken to the Israelis. I think what we're witnessing now, it's a very dangerous path, because if the Palestinians will let this chance just flee like that, they will lose a lot. But I repeat, there is a new generation in the Palestinian Authority, like Mr. Mohammed Dahlan and others. Maybe they will be willing to be realistic, because politics needs to be realistic. President Sadat, when he sat with Menachem Begin, he was very realistic that we have to work the two strong countries in this region, where Egypt and Israel, going on in war all the time. So we have to stop it and start negotiating. I think this is the same process. The Palestinians have to be very realistic, listen to President Sisi, listen to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Zayed. One has the experience of peace and war, and the other has the experience of investment and development.
Yes, Dr. Cherif Amir, the Professor of International Relations at the University of Paris. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate.
Thank you.
And this brings us to the end of the Daily Debate for tonight. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.